Namaskar. Welcome to this session of Straight Drive Panorama. I'm Sudhanshu Mani. Viewers, a poet from Lucknow, Majaz, has said, क्या क्या हुआ है हमसे जुनू में न पूछिए, उलझे कभी जमीन से कभी आसमां से हम. Don't ask me what all I have done in my madness. Sometimes I confront the skies, sometimes I get entangled with the earth. Well, there are many seemingly mad people who are doing signature work in our country. And today, I'll be in discussion with one such madman, Swapnil Tiwari, the madman cited in the 1,000 World Leaders for Hope list, Forbes magazine's Changemakers 30 under 30 list, and in 2017-18, the UNESCO Ambassador for SDG Inclusive Learning. Swapnil is one of the youngest specially abled social reformers in India. His life's work has been dedicated to spreading hope in troubled communities through education, social inventions, hope, and love. It has helped spread joy across many underdeveloped economies of the world as he uses social business and innovation to address rampant social evils. He had certain special abilities, which he would talk about from his birth. His work explores the synergy and congruence of human senses and the ability to explore alternative intelligence among people. By the age of 25, he had already rehabilitated 24 endangered tribes in the violence-stricken jungles of India, through which, or because of which, during which he was abducted thrice, all ending in reformation of those communities. He's also an avid TED speaker. His talks are a special mission to instill inspiration through the hope, through the philosophy of madness for all who seek hope. His extensive reformation work has spanned tribal women folk, victims of sexual abuse and discrimination, transforming their lives through innovative entrepreneurship. Examples include Kargil widows of Haryana, co-ops in jungles of India, among other 58 regions of the nation. So he is one of the youngest change makers to be featured in the Forbes magazine, as I said. So Swapnil, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, sir. Such an honor talking to you.
आपके जज्बे को दो शेर नजर करता हूं. एक तो मैं सुना चुका और एक कि ये क्या तहरीर पागल लिख रहा है. ये क्या तहरीर पागल लिख रहा है, हर एक प्यासे को बादल लिख रहा है.
अरे वाह.
And I also,
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
As is my want, Swapnil, I must go to the bard also. These are famous lines, as Claudius says to Polonius in Hamlet, madness in great ones must not go unwatched. And later that Polonius says to Hamlet, though this be madness, yet there is method in it. So let's start with that. We will not let it go unwatched. And we would like to understand this method. So, madman, what's the mystery behind this name? What is this madness? And why this madness? Swapnil.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to say it's such an honor being here and speaking to another madman and someone with a great work behind him. So it's such an honor. So it's more like the junior speaking to the senior. And well, sir, my madness. Well, it all started when I was born on the 20th of May, 1987. And I was born with a condition called dyslexia and another one called synesthesia. Now, people must be knowing about dyslexia. It is, a learning disability, as they call it, a disability. And synesthesia is another condition in which we mix senses, as in this color black. someone must only see it, but then for us it is like we also hear it, we also listen to this, and we also taste it, we also feel it, and we also smell it. So it's like a mixture of many senses. So it's like an intertwined brain, and this always resulted in many anomalies whenever I was with the so-called normal folks, and that resulted in something, ये सब कहने लगे कि पागल है तो, and छोटे में ही स्कूल में ही शुरू हो गया वो चीज. And after my father's death, at, when I was in class 7th, it became all the more difficult to cope up with that, with such a condition. Now that happened, and then slowly and steadily I started finding what my being was and why it was the way it was. And slowly and steadily it became the only word that I could get for it was madness, and I embraced it. And with most of the people, they only resort only to celebrate their difference or disability. They only get defined by whatever disability they have. But I believe that it was my super ability, and it was time that I started working to to serve through it, to manifest it, and that is how madness came into being. Madness as a philosophy for me is, it's not something which is destructive insanity. Madness is something that is a very constructive force that helps you grow beyond your own constructs, and that is what uh, actually stopping us from being whatever we can be. And that is what I call madness, and I now share it, that how we can break the chains and then be more than what we think we are and what people tell us that we should be. So that is madness.
Okay, thank you. All right, so thank you for giving some insight into, I mean, it will take time to understand it as to what this madness is all about, Swapnil. So one also cannot fail to see from your talks at one-to-one level or in your talks that you are spiritual, and also you are a social entrepreneur, someone who is karma driven. Now, spirituality is often connected to detachment and renunciation, isn't it? So how do you see it? Where do you find your peace?
Well, sir, when we talk about spirituality, it is a fad, to be very clear. It is a fad that people term themselves as spiritual or term anyone else as spiritual, because they see spirituality as something which makes sense and it is not practical. Like, we would, most of the times when we turn spiritual, we would go into meditation and see for a something that is beyond us, and then probably take some meaning which it may or may not be giving us at that moment. But then spirituality is, for me, it's not that. It's a way of life which is controlling everything, which is we're defining everything. And for me, my spirituality started with knowing myself, and how I could make construct a world that I want. Uh, Sir, at a very early stage in life, I pounced upon a philosophy or a teaching. That is what I say, that I am getting taught by my light, and I call it the light. And this was something which came to me when I was 12. I tried to commit suicide at the age of 30, and
Oh,
after my father's death, and I had my mother's sleeping pills in my hand, and then went into the garden, and then thought I'd pop all of them and then probably end my life. But then something shone upon me that at this moment when I'm trying to take all these pills in, my heart is beating, my lungs are working, my stomach, my liver, I'm feeling hungry, I'm feeling thirsty, I may be having an urge to pee as well. Now each and every organ of my body is working. Now, why is the heart pumping? Once the ventricle is pumping, it is sending the blood through my veins and arteries for the blood to be used after a few seconds of time. That means each and every organ is working on hope. It is working on hope that this body should be living the next 1, 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 20,000, 20 lakh minutes. Now, if my organs are working, if those cells know something that this body should be working more and should be living more, why is my mind telling otherwise? Why is my mind telling me to die? And who is this mind? What right does it have to ensure that I should live or not? And that came upon as a learning that each and every cell of the body has its own conscience. Later on in my life, I also worked on something called as intercellular compassion, in which each and every cell is working together to help others build, and that is what we are doing in communities, and we should do in communities. That we are all interconnected. We are all like the cells in an organism called Earth, and then we have the power to serve others and help others exist and live and manifest themselves. So for me, it came as that, and then from that day onwards, I became a creator than a devourer. I will come on to this concept, sir, that in this world I see that there are two kinds of people. One is the creator and one is the devourer. Most of us are devourers. Now we would be consuming education, we would be consuming entertainment, food, water, love, respect, sex, lust, relationships, egos, respect, whatever it is, you start consuming. So the normal course of life would be you are born and then you're consuming resources. And from those resources, those are different kind of resources. They may be material, they may be emotional, they may be psychological, they may be physical. And we keep consuming till a time that we forget that we are creators as well. Because any consumption always begets something. For example, if I'm eating a roti right now, I would be, taking out, excreta. Now that is the most, simple form of it. But then that excreta is also food to something else. And also by eating that roti, I would be having an energy to create something in this universe. It can be anything. It can be hatred. It can be love. It can be destruction. It can be construction. Now, I always wanted to see that if I am, consuming anything in this world, I should be creating something. And that is the philosophy of a creator. Because once you become a creator, you do not need anything for yourself. Because suppose if I want love in my life, now I would keep seeking love from people. I would keep seeking love from my parents, from my loved ones, from my, the society around. But if I start creating things, that void is already gone because I have enough of it myself. And the same goes for anything for that matter. For that matter, any kind of social action that so Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. But I, say that, it is not only, the change, it is also something more that, you have to manifest that you are. So you will always give what you have excess of. So if I have excess of anything, I will start giving that. If I have love, I will give love. If I have hate, I will give hate. If I have rebellion, I will give rebellion. So that is what my mantra was. And I started creating from that moment on, and I stopped blaming anything for that matter. It can be connected to the political situations as well. That, it is very easy to go out and give a dharna and give a, activism, become an activist. And I don't find any reason than that. I became an actionist at that moment, and I started creating action. And I simply create action. I do not believe in activism, and I do not call myself a social activist. I call myself a social actionist, if I have to be called anything. So that is how I see my spirituality working for me in social sector as well. That slowly and steadily I started answering any kind of darkness with light. It's very simple. You see any darkness, you bring light. Now that light can be in form of anything. It can be in form of a simple, wiping a tear off. It can be simply making someone happy. It can be simply answering a social evil through a social venture, which I happen to do with later on with my life. I'm 33 now. It's been like 13 years now, sir, that I've been working. So that is how my spirituality helped me being more.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pick on what you just said. You are 33 years old, and here I am, 62 plus, and having consumed all my life today to become a creator, perhaps I have to borrow some madness from you and to also fully comprehend what you're saying. But I'll again pick on what you just said.
Guru.
No, I just picked on something you said about, I read about the light mission. and you spoke about light. So how do you use it? Tell us a little bit more about this light thing.
Sir, the Light Mission, as in my venture is called the Light Mission, and the Light Mission is simply, as I told, it is answering darkness through light. Now, I work in three sectors primarily. It is first is inner education, the second is social action, and third is innovation. Now, inner education is something that education. When we see, sir, it is something that has been created outside, right? When you were born, you are an engineer. Engineering was created outside. It was not taught to you in the womb, right? It was created outside. You consumed it. For example, I studied biotechnology. When I was born, I did not know biotechnology. Now, all these education, which we call as education, it is simply a knowledge base which is outside, and it is being taught, or we let it enter us for being more equipped to do a certain work. So that is what is education, what my definition of education is all about. Now, inner education is something, sir, that resides within us. It is always within us. We are always, we always carry it, but we fail to actually acknowledge it. And that is what I call as inner education. Now, inner education, the most simplest form of inner education is finding, your identity, finding your source of light. And once you find that light, you do not seek that light anywhere else. Because when you, and another thing, that I do not believe in idols, like, he's my inspiration, that person is she is my inspiration. No. I believe that everyone's inspiration is within themselves, and we all are actually potent enough to become inspiration for us. Because once we give that baton of responsibility to someone else, we actually stop being that. For example, if we were born in the era of independence, like the struggle of independence, if I keep saying, "Oh, Bhagat Singh, I love that guy, I'm following that guy," that means I'm giving the responsibility of the freedom of my nation to someone called as Bhagat Singh or Chandrasekhar Azad or anyone else, Subhash Chandra Bose. Why can't we be Subhash Chandra Bose? Why can't we be Vivekanand? Why can't we be Gandhi? Why can't we be Bhagat Singh? What is stopping us from being an Abdul Kalam? What is stopping us from being a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk or anybody, or a Kailash Satyarthi for that matter? What is stopping us? The only thing stopping us is that we give the baton of responsibility of being an inspiration to someone else. Now, I believe that everyone has that element within themselves. And once we follow that light, we actually manifest whatever we are, destructors or constructors. We follow that. And inner education is something in which I help people become that. So I have, if with inner education, I have, it has helped me transform communities that were into extremist influence, especially in the central and eastern part of India, where there is a lot of, internal, resistance. And that has helped me, touch the lives of more than 27,000 affected people in these 13 years. Now, that has also helped me create solutions for them in form of social action, in which, suppose if there is a problem going on, suppose recently I was working during the pandemic on poachers. Like there were a lot of poaching going around in the Gangetic plain, and I went to that community, saw what all they were doing, created a business, out of their own, diaspora. And then, they did not have any need to poach ever again. So that is how I create ventures, and I answer social evils through that. I do not believe in charity and philanthropy. I'd never give even a single penny to anyone to build their life. No, but I would spend, even 500. Sir, I've started ventures from 500 rupees. I do not eat pizza because I think, that 500 could be used in making a venture for 50 people. So that is how I do social action. Apart from that, sir, innovation. Me and my Devi, Dr. Kamalika Banerjee, we both are into innovation, especially social innovation. So we are creating solutions to, answer, many potent problems across the world. So I would like to just take, few more minutes to explain about that. So we are working on a humanity ecosystem called Kinder. It is an ecosystem which has an app and workshops and stuff like that, which tells and which helps people, become more, humane. Because in form of education, we are getting taught everything, but we are stopped. We have stopped, making humans out of our children. And everything, every skill that you're getting, you go on the internet, you get, teach your children coding, teach your children, mathematics on internet, teach this, teach that. But are you teaching your children to be becoming human? No. So this kind of ecosystem helps, honing all that. And then we are working on a amazing solution, which is into ending malnutrition for the poorest of the poor. Because in our society, sir, we all are overfed. At least I am, sir, I am 110 kgs, and I'm overfed. Okay. Now the person who is creating this food for me is an underfed guy. He's eating a roti and a pyaz, for lunch. What would his kids be getting? Nothing. So malnutrition, we are getting all the multivitamins of the earth, in form of various scams that are going on. But actual the nutrition is required there. So we have we have invented a product which is a herbal based product which is at only 2 rupees per day can end malnutrition from this earth. It can affect 3.2 billion people in the world, and it is called Sehat Ki Pudiya, and there's a name for this, that Sehat Ki Pudiya is something that can increase the nutrient potency of any food. So that is there. And then the third innovation that we are working on is a toy that can help children become more aware about safety, because child sexual abuse has been a rampant social evil. So we have created a toy that can teach children from 1 to 5 years of age about good touch and bad touch. So this is an amazing, at only 99 rupees. It's a amazing toy. So these are some of the innovations that I'm working on, and we are looking for impact investment as well. So people who want to, contribute to the cause.
So I would come to that. So, but I have two more questions. Please answer very briefly. Uh, uh, so the first question is, spirituality, how you link it with actual change on the ground is very fascinating. But in true sense, in the context of the world, but particularly for our country, who do you think is a real change maker? That's one. And second, of course, as you were coming to, how can people contribute to your cause? How can they join your movement? In what ways they can join your movement? If you can answer these two questions, Swapnil.
Yes, sir. So the first question is on, who is a real change maker?
Yeah.
Actually, sir, I just pounced upon that thing that, we have to bring a change. We have to bring a change. But then actually thought, then do we have to, and should we bring a change? Change is already happening. We all are living our lives, and these are all changed lives. At 12:35 p.m. Yesterday we were something else, and today we are something else. We are a totally different. So change is already happening. It is a constant process. It is a dynamic. It is a kinetic process. But then, why do we then keep saying about this, that we need to change, we need to change, we need to? What we are actually talking about is we are actually working for constructive or destructive change. We are already changing. We are already changing. We are already affecting the lives of 100 million, billion people every day, every moment. But that particular change, is it positive or is it negative? Is it life positive or is it life negative? That is what we have to decide. And in our daily life, most of the people are change seekers, because they would be seeking change. They would be seeking change in the government. They'd be seeking change in the society, in the colony they live in the home they are in. But nobody wants to become a change maker. Why? Because they think that they are not equipped enough to lead it into a life positive or a life negative change. Because life negative is already happening. You keep anything like that. You keep even a plant in a pot, just like that, for 1 year, it will automatically die. Right? You have to water it. Even if it is in the ground outside, it is on luck that, if it rains, it'll get sprouted or whatever. So everything is actually naturally life negative, because every life was created to die. But then if we have to keep it on, we have to make life positive efforts. And life positive efforts take a lot of instinct, action, and intent. And intent is very important, sir. Because once our intent is in the right place, we would naturally create life positive things. So that is what a real change maker is. That someone who is always working for a life positive thing, unless that that organism is no more. The second question is how can people support us, sir? My life has always been for free. I have actually posted it online that I am for free. Anyone wants any help, they can reach out to me. I do not have a price tag on myself. So because when I saw the world, when I gained my senses that everything is a transaction, everyone is transacting, and if it is transaction, we all are actually waiting for the right business or the transaction opportunity to happen to us to do anything worthwhile. And probably that is what, even after being so equipped, even after being so you know so rich in form of knowledge, in form of technology, in form of money, we are still a very ailing world. We are still in a very ailing world, and that actually pained me. So I thought, let it be only me that who never wants to transact. And that's why I self-funded my all my ventures. For 13 years, I've never taken any penny from the government or any of the NGOs or whatever. I do not have an NGO. In fact, the Light Mission is a sole proprietorship company, because I do not seek any funds from the government or someone helping me to fill my tummy. I will take care of myself. But then now our ideas are coming in the fore, and there are many people who want to fuel these ideas. So we are looking for impact investors who want to. Impact investors are, just to be on the record, impact investors are investors who would invest in me not to gain a profit, but to create an impact. Suppose if they impact invest in our nutrition idea, they would ask us, you create this product and make it available to 1,000 odd people. Then this investment is like fine. So that is impact investment, because we cannot give any funds as of now back to any investor. So we are looking for impact investing in all three of our ideas, because these are directly impacting the lives of the people. These are not something which is bogus and create impact after 10 years. No, it is something, if we implement it right now, we would be creating kinder generation, we would be making healthier generations, and we would be making safer generations. And all three ideas are in that: kinder, and nutrition idea, and the toy. So it is like that, sir. So we are looking for impact investors who would like to help.
So Swapnil, the free man, available to us for free. More power to your efforts, and let you be madder and madder, so that the world becomes a better place through your social entrepreneurship. Thank you very much for joining our show and letting our viewers know a little bit more about your madness and your work. And viewers, I hope you have been able to see some method in the madness of Swapnil Tawari. And I hope some of you will go ahead and contribute to his cause. I hope you enjoyed our program. We will be back again next Thursday with Straight Drive. Namaskar.